think I might be called to the seminary. He walked me through it. He's like, all right, so like, where's your heart at? Like, what do you really want? And I was like, well, what I really want is to date this girl. And he's like, all right, that's good. And I was like, what do you mean that's good? Like, you're supposed to like recruit me to the seminary, right? And I desire to be a father. And he's like, well, that's what a priest is. A priest is a father. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? Oh my gosh. And I just like kind of like broke down crying because I realized that now like God saw me and I have this fear of trusting God to go to the seminary because I don't know what's going to happen. What I got in that moment wasn't like a written out answer. It wasn't like, this is how your life is going to go. It was just like I know that it's difficult, but I see you and I'm with you.
Welcome to the Exposing Catholic Show, where we expose the lives, interactions, and stories of Catholics. Our guest today is Billy Reed. Welcome on.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's
of course.
good to be here.
Absolutely. So how long have you been at the seminary? You're a seminarian at Borromeo Seminary.
Yeah, so I entered the seminary in 2019, right out of high school. So this is my 5th year, and it's actually my first theology year at St. Mary's Seminary, which is on the same campus. And kind of the way that it works right now is we have a 9-year program. You do 4 years of college and then 5 years of graduate school. So at Borromeo Seminary, you do philosophy and grow in community. And then at St. Mary's, you do theology. And you're ultimately, that's like where you finish your priestly formation. And I know they're making changes to it. Like I think Father Jacob talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I know they're bringing in like a propedeutic year, which is like a year-long retreat.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and so I think the way that it works, or it's going to work, is like starting with the guys that come in the fall of 2024. They'll do like a year-long propedeutic year, and then they do their philosophy and theology. So, but on the program I'm on right now, so this is my 5th year. I'm like right over the hump. So I have like 4 years to go or so.
Mm-hmm. What point do you become a deacon?
So that's your 8th year. So I would be, in theory, ordained a deacon in April of 2027, and then priest in May of 2028, God willing. So. Oh,
I didn't realize it was that quick from deacon to priest.
Yeah, it's just a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and during that year, you just you go help out at parishes on the weekend, and they preach a lot at the seminary. So like this year we have 3 transitional deacons, and so they help out at every mass. They preach like once a week. So yeah, but this is my 5th year, and it's funny to think back to like the fall of 2019 because things were just a lot different. Like there was no COVID, and just so I was homeschooled too. So like coming out of homeschool and then going right into the college seminary was a big transition.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a good 5 years. Very challenging, very full of growth, but yeah. So we're rolling with it. But
did you always know you wanted to be a priest? Like, was the priesthood an attractive thing from the start?
So grew up in a very Catholic family. I'm the oldest of 9, eight boys and 1 girl. And just always like my parents, grandparents were always very like encouraging, and just people at church. Cause especially like my family was like the stereotypical like young Catholic family. All the boys dress up, tuck their shirts in, side part, slick back, like
fill the pew type of family.
Yeah, sit in the front row, fold their hands, like, and so I had a lot of people that were like, "Oh my gosh, you should think about being a priest." Or like when I was in high school, I would go to mass, like I would go to daily mass sometimes, and that's like, there's just sirens going off in every lady above the age of 50's head. They're just like, so I was just always encouraged to think about it. Mm-hmm. And there was definitely the times where I felt the most drawn to priesthood, was like either in adoration, or like at youth group. I was blessed to be able to help out leading Families in Christ Jesus Youth. It was like a charismatic thing. And also just priests that I knew, that like when I saw them, I was like, yeah, like I could do that. Like I want to, and like it wasn't always like, it wasn't always attractive in like a super like emotionally fulfilling sense. It wasn't like that looks like it would be so fun. That looks like it would be so cool. Like that wasn't the feelings that I had. There was something like deeper, like there's something in my heart that like feels like built for that, and like yearning for that kind of ministry, that kind of fatherhood. So yeah, and it's funny because I think 8th grade, like around the time I was like being confirmed, somebody had asked me, they were like, would you ever think about being a priest? And I was like, no, I don't know. Like thinking about like me actually being a priest, and like that was the first time I think I thought about it. And for most of high school, I just didn't really think about it that much. I don't know what I was thinking about in high school, like watching YouTube, listening to music, and like playing basketball. Like that was like, that was like what I was, those were my main concerns. And I think also around that time, like I definitely thought a lot about like marriage and like having children, because being the oldest, like I was always like helper number one when there was a baby in the house, and that was also something that I was really accustomed to. And so there's a couple girls that I talked to in high school, and like there was like feelings exchanged and whatnot, and I wanted to pursue that, but it never felt like I got the go ahead from God, I guess. It kind of felt like that was something that I wanted and desired, and like that it was a good thing, but it didn't feel like something that I was most at peace with. And when I went to visit the seminary, when I sat in front of Jesus in the Eucharist, and I thought about like the idea of surrendering to God in that way, and trusting him in that way, because it was I remember visited the seminary a couple times. I was given an application, and it was like a big unknown. It was like, whoa, like this is a big change of pace. Like I'd be out of the house. I'd be with whole new people that I've never met, because I didn't really know anybody in the seminary. There's no seminarians from Geauga County. And the like most of like the happenings, I feel like in the Diocese of Cleveland are more like towards the more urban areas, and so I just kind of felt disconnected from that. Not a bad way. I just didn't really have a lot of interaction with the seminary or anything, and I was like, man, like I'd be giving up a lot. Like I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to date anybody, and like that would be kind of difficult. And there was just like little things that scared me. And I wasn't really big on the idea of college either. I envisioned myself like in high school I worked on a farm, and I was like, yeah, I could just like, I don't know, do landscaping, and like, because all the people that I knew that were doing like landscaping and the trades were like making a lot of money, and like they were having a good old time. I was like, yeah, let's do that. But when I really like sat back and gave God the time and took that time of like silence, and like told God what I was really feeling, just the idea of going to the seminary, and the surrender that comes with that like really spoke to me, and like I felt a lot more peace than I did when I was thinking about like my own ideas. And I remember there was some moments that confirmed that, like I was at a praise and worship thing, which ironically was at the seminary. It was with the youth group that I was with, and I was probably like a junior in high school. And so we're doing praise and worship, and the monstrance is out, and we go to circle up and at the end. And I found myself standing behind the altar, like looking at the monstrance, kind of where the priest would stand. And I think that was the first time where I was like, all right, God, like if you want me to go to seminary, if you want me to be a priest, then I'm on board with like trying to figure it out. And it was just kind of like all right, okay. Like that there's something good here. And so I think that's kind of where the light peaked in there.
We've got something special for all our Catholic organizations. Now, before you skip past this part, it's not an ad. It's more like an incredible opportunity to take your digital presence to the next level. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Something only for our podcast listeners. We, DM Productions, have a 2-day Catholic social media makeover course. It's an online course specifically made for Catholic organizations. It will take your social media to the next level. And we make it easier than ever with our step-by-step video walkthroughs, cheat sheets, customizable templates, and more. Catholic organizations, let's start creating the quality and results that secular businesses have, but with the depth and beauty of Catholicism. Oh, and did I mention the price? $700. But remember I said I was going to let you in on a little secret? Use code DMPodcast to get it completely free. No credit card required. Just pop that code in and you're all set. Head over to www.dm.productions/social media makeover or click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
And then, into senior year, I ran into Father McCandless, who was the vocation director at the time, and I ran into him in a parking lot, or it was at the St. Helens parking lot. I used to go to this men's basketball league on Sunday nights, and whoever had waxed the gym floor used the wrong stuff or used too much of it or something, because it was like an ice skating rink. And so it's all these dads, and they're like, wow, somebody's gonna pull a hamstring on here. so they cut it early, and I'm like, dang, man, no hoops. So I walk out into the parking lot, and like Father McCandless is walking from the church to his car, and I was like, I was gonna talk to him. So I set up a meeting with him, and he met me out here a couple times, and I was like, yeah, I think I might be called to the seminary. And so he walked me through it. He's like, all right, so like, where's your heart at? Like, what do you really want? And I was like, well, what I really want is to date this girl. And he's like, all right, that's good. And I was like, what do you mean that's good? Like, you're supposed to like recruit me to the seminary, right? And he was like, no. And he was just like, what, like giving me life advice. And I was like, all right, like this guy's cool. And he like seems to actually care about my vocation and not just recruiting me. And as he walked me through like that kind of stuff, and like I was like, yeah, like I desire to be a father. And he's like, well, that's what a priest is. A priest is a father. And I was like, what do you mean? You're not married, you don't have kids. But he so as we continued to talk about that, after like 2 or 3 meetings, he's like, I'll give you an application if you want. So I took it, and then I was like, this is serious. And I remember I went to St. Helens one night, and I'm sitting there in the church, and I'm like, all right, God, like I don't know if I want to do this, and I'm kind of uncomfortable, and I'm kind of mad that you're like asking me to do something difficult like this. And I was like waiting for him to like say something or like give me some kind of like comfort, and I don't think I was open to hearing anything. So I kind of get up and I walk out of church, and as I'm walking out, I see the Pieta statue in the back. So you got like Mary holding Jesus's body on the cross. And it was just kind of like, ooh. But I was like, no, I'm mad right now. So I like kept walking out to the car, and I opened up my phone. Like this was like the God moment, because I don't really remember how this all went. But I get in the car and I go to turn on some music, and the first song that I clicked on was a song by Holland, and it's basically like a stylized version of the story of Abraham and Isaac, and how like God asks Abraham to sacrifice his only son, and like that was like Abraham's like most like beloved son, and like what he held the most dear, and Abraham was really scared, and like it was hard for him to trust, but he did, and it worked out. And I felt like that was well, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, and I just like kind of like broke down crying, because I realized that now like God saw me in that, like that's kind of how I was feeling. It was like I have this like this fear of trusting God to go to the seminary, because I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, is it like, am I gonna like lose out on like my hopes and dreams, and is he gonna like take away like my freedom or whatever? And what I got in that moment wasn't like a written out answer. It wasn't like, this is how your life is gonna go. It was just like I know that it's difficult, but I see you and I'm with you. And the coolest part too is that like I'm a big fan of music, and like and so God kind of gave me that little nod. It's like, here, I'll like, I'm speaking to you in ways that you understand, and in ways that comfort you. And I think in that moment, deep down inside, like I knew that, all right, God, like, isn't gonna like leave me high and dry here. Like, he knows that it's hard, and he's gonna figure things out. So that was a big moment. And it's not like I like became a super trusting person after that, and like everything got perfect. But that was a big shift for me, because it just helped me to trust them more. Yeah, and then entered that fall. But I don't know. Should I just go into that? What that was like? Or?
Were you looking at different seminaries or different colleges or anything like that?
No, and I think that was also like, I think God kind of helped me out there, because I didn't really have any like college aspirations. Like I didn't really know what I was gonna, like I didn't have any like field of study that I was super passionate about. And yeah, I hadn't really looked at any other colleges. It was mostly just the seminary, and I had thought about just doing a like kind of career in some kind of like trade, like carpentry, or I don't know, like there's a lot of people from out in Newberry who do that kind of stuff and are able to get by. But I think, yeah, the seminary really was like the one thing that really made sense. And so I think the resistance in my heart wasn't necessarily like that I wanted to go do another career. It was just I wanted to do not the seminary. So yeah, I think, I mean, I knew that Borromeo Seminary was the one in Cleveland, and it was 30 minutes from my house, so that's where that's just kind of how it went. It was pretty straightforward, thankfully. So
now, as you were going through these interactions and experiences with God, what did the interactions with your family and friends, and were you sharing this information with them, talking to them about the seminary? Like, what that stuff look like?
Yeah. It's like my parents were supportive. My mom helped out a lot, because she's one of those, like, she's very organized and she likes to get stuff done. So she helped me out a lot with like the John Carroll application, because when you go to college seminary or to Borromeo, you apply to Borromeo for the formation program, and then you apply to John Carroll for their college. So she helped me out a lot with that and getting things in order, and she probably did a lot of things behind the scenes that I don't even know about.
Realize,
yeah. Which I'm very thankful for. And And yeah, I mean, with my friends, it's funny. A lot of people weren't surprised. I think a lot of people saw it coming. Um, and they were all really supportive, like before, like leading up to that point. And not that they weren't afterwards, but I was definitely a little bit afraid of like getting like some nasty comments, and which I have gotten, like, or things that I found out that people have said about me where it's like, all right, you didn't have to say that, like that's but by and large everybody was really really supportive. Father Jay was really happy about it. My grandma was really happy about it. But I can't really remember anything bad, and it is funny because like I feel like leading up, like my entire life, like through high school, felt very slow compared to my life over the last 5 years, because I don't know, I was homeschooled. I would go to work, I'd go to basketball, I'd sit at home, like it's just not a whole lot going on. So I don't have like a super vivid memory of all that, but it was mostly good. And I was thankful, like, because I had heard stories of people's families who were like, we don't do that in this family, and like they kind of get upset, but that was not my experience.
I remember, I think that's when we met, is during like COVID time.
Yeah.
And it was in the summer, and I don't know, I was just invited
I kept
to play
thinking your name was Sabrina.
Yeah, exactly. And we just played ultimate frisbee, and I like knew your brothers and like just kind of that friend group. And that's when I found out like, oh, you're going to the seminary. And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like people do that? I had no clue. And I was like, wow, like I guess priests are kind of normal if they start off like that with people that I know around me. It was surprising, but not in a weird way, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah, priests aren't like hobbits where they just, or no, the dwarves where they pop up out of the ground.
Yeah.
They got to start somewhere. But yeah, no, that was funny. COVID was strange and fun and weird.
So moving from finally making the decision to enter, then what did it look like after that? Did you kind of lose did you finally get like a peace, or were you at ease with that decision?
Yeah. This is the fun part of the story. I think it's funny. I think I've definitely continued to have struggles to trust, and it's always something different. But I think God uses that to keep me close and to continue testing me and helping me grow. Because when I got to the seminary, like I was like, this is really fun. Like you're with, like, at the time, like Borromeo Seminary was like 45 guys, and it was just like a really like the place was popping. Like we were always playing sports, like watching movies, going places. Because this was pre-COVID, so it's gotten, our schedule has definitely gotten back to like the way it was pre-COVID, but like it was really like fast-paced compared to what I was used to. Like I remember the fall of 2019, like we went down to the Josephinum in Columbus, which is their seminary, and we went to like a soccer tournament. We were like going to concerts, going to church tours. Me and my friend Josh, our service project that year was serving food to homeless people in Ohio City. Going to John Carroll 3 days a week. It was just like it was busy and fun, and it was new. And so like I was kind of like riding that high. It was almost like a retreat high. I was like, wow, this is cool. But after a while, it got a little more difficult because, you know, like the difficulties of college set in, and yeah, there's I think for Borromeo Seminary, like for those 4 years, kind of like the main objective is like growing in self-awareness, growing in your ability to live in community with other people, and just growing in your like ability to be formed, like your ability to be obedient, and to be somebody who has like the heart of a shepherd, who cares about other people, who like can hear the voice of God. And for those 4 years, like, I guess looking back, it kind of felt like, a big retreat, or like a big training camp where, yes, it's very serious. But it's like priesthood is far away, work on yourself, like let God reveal himself to you, learn how to live with others. And I think a lot of like my trust, like the things that I struggled to trust with during that time was like, again, just continuing to give over my future to God.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny too. Like there's like a lot of girls that I met over the course of like college seminary where I was like, wow, like I would love to like pursue a relationship with her, but it's like you've made a commitment for now. Like, 'cause it's not like you sign a contract and you're like, all right, for the next 9 years you're in jail until you become a priest. Like, no, it's like you can leave if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times there was that tension where it's like, all right, God, like this is kind of hard. Like, is it okay if I leave? And he's like, no, like you're like, I every year, at the end of every year, I continue to get this like deep feeling where it's like I'm not finished. Like I still have more to learn, more to grow, more to give. And every time I made that decision to stay, it was like, yeah, like I did the right thing. So, and I mean, still to this day, like I guess it's more serious now. Like priesthood is only 4 years away. Like 4 years ago, I was beginning seminary, and it goes by pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's like, all right, God, like he continues to ask, like, how much do you trust? Like, yeah, and he always comes through in the moments when you need it. I remember, so we were in Rome. The whole seminary went to Rome in March of 2023, which was a fantastic trip. We met Pope Francis. Like, I shook his hand. That was insane. We just got to see like all these beautiful churches, and like it's just a total change of pace from America. Like it's just new and interesting, and it's really nice. Well, it's not really new. It's actually all really old, but
New
it's
for
a lot
you.
older than America, but it's new for me. Fantastic experience. I could probably do a whole podcast about that. But at the end of the week we were there, it was a Thursday night, I think. We have mass in it was one of there's a lot of seminaries in Rome. It was at the chapel at one of the seminaries there. And so Father Joe Koopman, who's our Dean of Students at St. Mary's, he's given this homily about, so John Paul II at one point was like sick. Things weren't going well for him. He was just having different struggles. Like people weren't very happy with him. And he was just like, he was having some tough times. And so this Capuchin friar goes into St. Peter's Square and like stands outside of his window, and he yells, "Coraggio, coraggio, Giovanni Paolo, coraggio," like have courage, John Paul II. And John Paul heard him, and he like, and I think he like made that guy like, the, like, I don't know what the title is. It was like the CEO of preaching or something. Like it was something important, but he heard him, and it reminded him to keep going. And so Father Koopman is talking about, he's like, couragio, like have courage, like as we go back to like to kind of real life. And what was the reason that was so important for me was, so this was March 2023, about a little less than 2 months before our graduation, and I had to decide like if I was going to go to St. Mary's or not. Because I was like, well, you know, I'm getting my college degree. This would be a perfect time to like take some time off and like, and I wanted to, like, I had this like master plan. Like I was gonna move to Steubenville. I was gonna work at Catholic Family Land, which is like a summer camp, and like it was gonna be really fun, and I wasn't gonna be like stretched the way that the seminary was stretching me, and in a way I think like I wanted to run away, kind of like Jonah does in the Bible. It's like God tells him like, I want you to go to Nineveh, and he's like, no, and he goes the opposite way. I relate to Jonah very much, but and I remember sitting there, and so there's this picture of Our Lady of Humility. That's my phone background, and I don't, it's pretty run of the mill picture of Mary, but like I just couldn't get my eyes off of her. And then this like whole thing, like couragio, like have courage, like do what is difficult, like keep fighting. And I just remember crying because it was like I knew what I had to do. Mm-hmm. I knew what was the right thing to do. And just like, I don't know, it was something about that picture of Mary where I was just like, I just felt like her presence, and like her like I don't know, I can't really articulate it, but that like couragio, like I was like, I know what I have to do. So I went to say Mary's. But that's I really want to get, that's the tattoo I was talking about. I really want to get like couragio on my arm. Mm-hmm. Because I keep thinking about it all the time. Like it's been a year now, and it always kind of keeps me going. Where was I headed with that? God, I don't know. Like God keeps giving me these like moments right when I need it. Mm-hmm. Like it seems like it always like it gets more and more difficult, and it gets darker and darker and darker, and then like right at the last seconds, God's like, nah, it's all good. Like I'm still watching over you. I still have a plan. Like you're gonna make it. It's gonna be okay. And like the difficulty is for a reason. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Yeah.
Did Pope Francis glow or something when you shook his hand?
It was so cool. He
seems kind of otherworldly.
He's a lot shorter than he looks on TV.
Oh,
actually,
really?
He's like a very small man, but it like he is like the vibe that I got from him. Like he's just a very kind man, and he didn't have a whole lot to say. Like he was just kind of there and very humble, which I think was beautiful, and I had a lot more respect for him after that. I don't know. I mean, I've read I read some of the Pope Francis stuff, and I understand that he's controversial, and I don't know. I mean, he's the Pope. He's gonna be controversial in the media. I don't know. I was just nice to meet him because it was like very I don't know. I was just struck by his humility in the moment. Mm-hmm. It was cool though.
What did you say to him? Or did you say anything?
Yeah, so I gave him the double hand. Like he was doing handshakes, so I did one of these, like made sure both hands touched him. But I just said, Pope Francis, thank you. I thought about trying to rehearse something in Italian or Spanish. I think he speaks like Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. Those are like the languages that he's really good at. And I was like, I might end up saying something like, who knows? I don't know any of those languages. It was funny. I was sending my friends a screenshot the night before. I put into Google Translate, Pope Francis, do you play Among Us? Because like Among Us was a big thing at the seminary at the time. We had we had a liturgical Among Us counter in the lounge. It was like a whiteboard, and so every time in liturgy of the hours or mass, the words "among us" were said, like "send the Holy Spirit among us." We would all be like, "Whoa," and then we'd mark it up one. It got to like 100 by the end of the year. But that's just, I don't know, it was a goofy little thing.
You didn't end up saying that though?
No. Well, because that other part of that joke was there was a couple of the freshmen that year who had been like, we had like the Archbishop of the military visited the seminary because he like went to Borromeo, I think, at one point. And one of the freshmen was dared to ask him if he plays Among Us. And he did. and the guy was like, I don't know what that is. And it was yeah, it's just like a silly little thing. But so yeah. So
I've never actually played Among Us.
It's pretty good.
it's like Mafia.
Yeah, I know
It's
what it
murder
is. I just
mystery.
like I've never played
A
it.
murder
before.
mystery, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Clue, but
I love Clue.
not so much skill, maybe. I don't know.
Clue doesn't need that much skill.
Well, you don't take notes. I don't think you do any notes or anything. You just kind of observe, rat people out, try to blame them. I don't think you could do that on Clue that much.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Huh.
You play Clue?
Is that the one with like all like the Professor Peach or whatever, like those, like the goofy
Plum,
names?
but yeah.
yeah. Okay. See, I probably have. I've never been a big board game person, to be honest. I don't know why.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I only really like Clue and like Sorry and Uno.
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh,
but
sorry is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of like,
Candyland is big.
yeah,
yeah.
Shoots and Ladders.
Yeah.
We have that too.
Nice. I'm trying to think of if I've played any recently. Like Uno. Have you ever played Spicy Uno?
No.
No.
That's like the cards have like alternative like meaning, so it's like if you pull a 7, it's like 7 is heaven, you like point up. Or like if you pull one of the other ones, it's like a 0 or something, you like nobody's allowed to talk, and if you talk you like draw 3.
Jeez.
It's I don't know, somebody knows the rules and I don't, but yeah.
No, there was Uno. I think it was like No Mercy, and instead of just
Mercy.
like draw 4, it was draw 10. It's like
Oh.
all of it was really intense.
Goodness gracious.
But no, we just have regular Uno.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's kind of off topic.
No, we have a question that's kind of odd to ask, but it was requested by somebody.
I don't
Not
know.
by you, by somebody.
Okay, I don't know where this is going.
They asked it for us to ask this question.
Okay.
I'm interested.
What is it like to be a woman magnet at the
Dude, I
Oh.
saw that in the notes and I was like, no, that's funny. Was this Mr. Ratosa?
No, no. It's actually your brother. Yeah,
Jake?
Jake and Abby were over, and they were like, "Ask him that." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, you know, heavy is the head that bears the crown, you know? No, I don't know. Yeah, what can I can't help it. How do I answer this question?
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome, Jake.
No, what are the? I can't remember which priest, but they were saying that somebody came up to them and they're like, "My son can't be a priest because he's too handsome or he's too smart." And so then he's like, "Okay, so what you're getting at is that we need priests that are dumb, ugly."
Yeah.
And old.
Oh,
like,
I've heard that in a homily somewhere. I can't remember who it was. Yeah. No, that's a good point, man. Yeah. For all formation faculty, and if Bishop Messick is watching this, all of my prior comments have been purely comedic.
Okay, so are we up to current time with the seminary life? Did we get through that whole story, or was that just at the start of entering St. Mary's? Like, what's the difference between those that you've seen, other than just that they teach different things?
Oh, between Borromeo and St. Mary's?
Mhm.
So at Borromeo, you live on campus. Borromeo and St. Mary's are on the same campus. It's the dorms are just on two different sides of the building. So at John Carroll, if you enter out of high school, you'll have 4 years. Or wait, did I say John Carroll or Borromeo? If you enter Borromeo out of high school, you're there for 4 years. You're enrolled as a John Carroll student and a Borromeo student, and you're a philosophy major. So usually on like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you go to John Carroll and you have like your gen ed classes, like intro to psychology, history, like any if you're doing a minor in something, then you would do those classes. So, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're at the seminary for philosophy, and those are like the classes that go towards your major ultimately. So the seminary has its own philosophy staff that teaches the philosophy, and the reason that they're partnered with John Carroll is because I don't like Borromeo doesn't have a big enough faculty to like be accredited as a university.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your like college degree from John Carroll, but you fulfill the philosophy requirement that the church requires a certain amount of philosophy to be taken by the seminarians. So you fulfill your philosophy requirement and you get a college degree. And so like when I was at John Carroll, I did a minor in communications, a minor in theology and religious studies, and a minor in Catholic studies. So the nice thing was for the theology and the Catholic studies, like most of those overlapped with classes you had to take
Mm-hmm.
for Borromeo, like a couple different scripture classes, moral theology, catechism, like all of those overlapped. So I ended up getting a degree in philosophy with the 3 minors attached. And yeah, so during your time at Borromeo, you do spend a lot of time off campus. And like you're encouraged to like get comfortable at John Carroll. Like when I was there, I played intramurals. Like me and my buddies would go, we'd play basketball. We would go to like a football game every once in a while, or like social stuff, and try to like make some friends there. And so then when you transition to St. Mary's, your first year, so this was, I don't know, like probably a couple weeks after I got there, you become a candidate for holy orders, which means basically that in the eyes of the church, you are more or less engaged to the church. Like you have been like found worthy to be a candidate for priesthood. Like obviously you're not a priest yet, but it's like you're on the track, and if you keep discerning well and being formed well, then then you'll be ordained. Like when the time comes. So you become a candidate for orders. You study more theology. So this year I've been doing some scripture courses. We did biblical hermeneutics, which is like the science of interpretation. Just talking about like the different like genres of literature and writing that are in the Bible. Talking about like historically, like how like the sources are found, and then reading about some church history, so like the church fathers and this council and that council, and certain movements in the church, like the Reformation, and then we have a class called like Christian anthropology. So that's talking about like what is grace, how has the church talked about grace. Like we've been reading about Augustine, Thomas Aquinas. I had a homiletics course last semester with Father Garris. That was really fun. It was probably the most fun class that I had. What else? I guess, yeah, just like just stuff like that. And then I think during your So during your second theology year, you have a class where you do a practice mass. So you and your classmates reenact the Easter Vigil to get you comfortable with like that. And then your third year, you go and do an internship at a parish for a whole year. And that's so you live there, you serve mass. I think you preach like once a week or something at a weekday mass. You help out in the school. Just get to know the people, see what it's like to be a priest who lives in a parish. And then your fourth year, you get into like some of the heavy stuff like canon law, like how to celebrate the sacraments, and like moral theology, like and then at the end of your fourth year, you're ordained a deacon. And then fifth year, kind of the same story. So you're a deacon now. So on the weekends, you're going out, helping out at masses and stuff at the parish. And then more like canon law, practicing celebrating the sacraments. And then at the end of that fifth year, you're ordained a priest. So I know that's been the program now for, I don't know, quite a while, I think. My lifetime at least. But I know they're going to shake it up a little bit, but all of that stuff is still going to be in there. It might just be in a different, like, I know it's always going to be the philosophy comes first, then the theology, but I don't know how they're going to pace it. I don't know what they're going to do with the internship. It might like be 2 summers instead of 1 full year. And they might call it different names. I don't know, but that's the way I've become familiar with it. And I think I'm like grandfathered into that system, I hope. So that but who knows, everything changes. So yeah, that's I guess that's kind of how the system works. But,
and are you still dual enrolled, or is it only St. Mary's though?
Just St. Mary's now. St. Mary's, it's what's it called? St. Mary's Graduate School of Theology. So yeah, it's its own thing. It's accredited as its own. I don't know if it's a university or what. I don't know how any of that stuff works. But all I know is like you get
it's official.
A master's. Yeah, you get a master's at the end of it. It's a master's in divinity. I don't know why it's not a master's in theology or something like that, but that's what they call it. Yeah, so I have a bachelor's in philosophy, and then I think they want every priest to have a bachelor's and a master's. So I don't know if that's just like to give you some extra credibility or what, but it's just as long as you learn you learn what you need to learn. You grow how you need to grow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are there any things that surprise you about seminary, like as you're going through it? Or just like the habits and schedule that you really like?
Yeah. So right now my schedule is based more or less every day. There's a couple alterations, but it's more or less morning prayer at 7:15, followed by like a little meditation period, and then breakfast, and then classes or whatever you have throughout the day. And then evening prayer at 5:45, dinner, and then mass is at 11:45. I do like the schedule because I find when I'm at home I kind of just I struggle with the discipline. I think that's the homeschooler in me. Like, you just kind of wake up when you want, do what you want. Like there's definitely 2 homeschoolers. There's like the discipline one, and there's the it'll get done when it gets done. So I feel like I'm a little bit of a mix, but it's tough. Like it's nice to having the community to kind of help you to like it's a team, so like everybody kind of helps everybody. And it's good for the discipline. And there was a quote that I had heard at one point in the seminary. It was like good friends are like a mirror, like they help you to see yourself better. And so I think that's the people at the seminary have definitely helped me to become a better person, like more self-aware, like and just like making like in a charitable way, like making me like aware of like times when I'm inconsiderate or like bad habits, pushing me to be better. Like there's a friend that I worked out with for a long time in the morning. Like we would go down to the gym at like 5 in the morning and work out before morning prayer, which was just forming good habits. So, and we have the seminary basketball team, which is a good like brotherhood forming experience. We go play like versus the priests, and we play against other seminaries. So yeah, those are the things I really appreciate. I'm trying to think of like surprises that I had. I don't know. Like that could get really deep. Just like, I mean, there was definitely like life surprises that happened, like regardless of the seminary. I mean, like COVID was a surprise. There was like, just like, I don't know, like, yeah, life happenings. I think like it definitely like you kind of can surprise yourself too, like to see like, cause I mean, like in the seminary, you're kind of, I don't want to say like under a microscope, but like it's formation. So it's like you're really trying to build virtue, like practice virtue, and like get rid of vice and sin, and just bad habits in general. And so you can get to points where like I remember this happened in college a couple times where like I was just really struggling with school, and just like it's like, dang, like I'm like, I don't feel like I'm up to this. And then that, like the devil kind of works in that to like get you down about your vocation, get you down about yourself. And you're like I remember like during my sophomore year, especially because there was a bunch of COVID restrictions and we couldn't really go anywhere. We had to wear masks, and all of our classes, well, most of our classes, our John Carroll classes, were online. And it was just like, I was just really struggling to get stuff done and have the motivation. And like the devil was just like hitting me with all these lies, like, you're the dumbest seminarian, you should just leave. And like, ever since you went to the seminary, your life got so much harder, like you should just leave, and like it would be a lot easier if you just left. And like everybody here is so much like holier than you, and so much better than you should just leave. And it was very difficult, but I'm thankful for those times, because helped me to be able to like recognize the lies of the devil. And he'll always work harder to try and find new ways to lie. And so that's in that way, it's just like you just keep on progressing and going further. And the spiritual direction has been fantastic. That's been one of my favorite things about the seminary, is just like having a person. So my spiritual director is Father David Blind. He's like kind of the resident spiritual director there, but we've just really connected, and I feel like he knows me very well, and he's able to kind of point out like when I'm kind of like not being honest with myself or with him, and help me to look deeper. And yeah, and just like the community there, like they become very, like you form these very intimate relationships because you guys go through difficulties together. Like there've been times in the seminary like where there was scandal in the church, and that's very difficult when you're at the seminary, because it's like, you know, there are just things said like in the news and like even like by people in person where it's just it's difficult. Like it becomes difficult to be in the seminary, especially when you're let down by people that you know. Like there have been a couple things that I can think of in the past 5 years or so where there were priests who, like, I knew, who people in the seminary knew, who like let people down in big ways, and that's very difficult, especially when you want to be like that priest, and then they let you down in such a terrible way, and that can do like really difficult things to like your self-image, especially like I know for me, like there's a priest that I knew who like soon like within my first semester at the seminary, like he got arrested, and like that, like there's a lot of stuff that went down, and he was the priest that I looked up to the most. Like he was like the number one priest in my mind, and I was like, when I grow up I want to be like that guy. Like he's happy, like people love him, he's really good at it, and then it comes out in the news that like he was doing terrible things to people I actually knew. Like people that I know very well, and he, like I had what I thought was a great relationship with this priest, and he would always tell me like he encouraged me to go to seminary, and he was like, you're going to be a great priest, you give me so much hope, and then he gets arrested, and it seems like he's like I never even knew him, and so the devil just ate that up. He was like, so you wanted to be like him, and look where he's at now. And it was like he believed in, or he said that he believed in you, and that you gave him so much hope, but he lied about all this other stuff, so maybe he was lying about you, and just crazy stuff, and that made my second year very difficult, because for my first semester of Borromeo, I just kind of like rode the high of being in the seminary. It was like, this is cool, this is fun, this is new. Then that happens, and it's like, whoa, I've never even dealt with anything like close to this difficult. It was like life shattering. I didn't know how to deal with that stuff. So that spring, I was just kind of like, all right, well, I guess life happens. And so we just moved forward. And I didn't really deal with it like in any meaningful way. And then COVID happened, and I was just sitting at home, and I was just like, wow, like, it was like, just like things you can't articulate, that just it was just a very difficult, very sad time. And I knew that I wasn't being called to leave the seminary, so I was like, all right, we're going back. And I got back there, and I thought, like, once I get there, like, I'll get into the schedule, I'll get disciplined again, and it'll all be okay. And I realized as I was going through that fall that, like, there was still a lot of pain from that experience, and a lot of forgiveness that I needed to do, and a lot of things that I just needed to talk to God about that I just for some reason hadn't. And I remember I was on a retreat that fall of 2020, and I was like, God, like, we gotta sit down and talk. So I sat in front of this tabernacle for like 3 hours, and I wrote out a poem, and it was kind of just like, God, I feel like like the contents of the poem were more or less like, I feel completely broken. I don't feel like I can do this. I don't know how to deal with this like hurt and betrayal, and also seeing friends suffer from it. I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And so I'm like writing all this out, and as I get towards the end, like I kind of like start to feel these prompts of the Holy Spirit, like, and hearing like the words of Jesus. And so I kept writing, and like the end of the poem is more or less like Jesus saying to me, like what's the one line is, all the darkness and all the pain will bring much glory unto my name. Embrace your role, play your part, because I love your wounded heart. Like it's just like kind of similar to the whole thing, like sitting in the car, like it was just like, I know it's hard, like I really see it. And there was another line in there. It was I'm not gonna be able to remember it, but just like it's kind of like you're like I see the holes in your heart, like I have holes in my hands, like, for you. And it was just like a comfort, and I was just like, all right, like, it was just like kind of like a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And during that retreat, like, we had an adoration, time of adoration, and our spiritual director came around with the monstrance and like held it up to each of us individually. And when it came up to me, I just like felt the grace to say, like, all right, Jesus, in the name of Jesus, like, help me to forgive this priest. And that was like the start of like learning how to forgive and starting to heal from that. And it wasn't like I didn't forgive that day, but I started to. Mm-hmm. And forgiveness isn't like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Like, people say forgive and forget. That's not how it works. Like, you have to choose to forgive, and you have to choose to forgive again and again and again. Mm-hmm. Because like one day, like, you might have the strength to forgive, and then the next day it might be hard, and and you have to do it again. And you have to like make it a lifestyle. So fast forward to the fall of 2021. And this is I'm a prideful and foolish person, as many people are. And I thought like I had kind of put this behind me. I was like, it's all wrapped up. Well, 2021, that November, this priest's trial rolls around, or his sentencing rather. And so somebody that I knew had to be at the sentencing because they were a witness. And this person is a very important friend. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be with you to support you. So I went down to the sentencing and like saw this priest in person, like in his prison uniform. And it was like sobering. It's like, wow, like I can't believe like that little kid in me I met this priest when I was 14 and I thought he was like the coolest person ever. And now here I am like 4 days before my 21st birthday and like he's getting sentenced to life in prison. Like that was insane to me. But I was like, all right, it's over. It's cool. Like I'm going to keep trying to forgive and it is what it is. It happened. And I thought we had some closure. And unfortunately I made that an excuse to just box it up again and be like, I don't have to think about it anymore. It's over. So that's that. And so then February of 2022 rolls around. I get a phone call and it's like, hey, the priest, it was the day before he was supposed to go to jail or to go to prison. And the guards found that he killed himself the day before he was supposed to go to jail. And I was just like, and my first reaction was kind of like, well, I guess it really is like that. It really is the end of the story. I was just kind of like a numb response. And as the day progressed, I just realized like, wow, man, like there was a part of me that hoped that like he would be able to like serve his sentence, and that like I could still believe that part of like the good man that that I loved as a like that I looked up to was like still there. And I was just kind of like, man, like he couldn't even serve his sentence. Like, that's brutal. And kind of all that hurt came back. And so we had a mass that night with the bishop. For some reason, there was some kind of formal event. So Bishop Molestic is there, and I'm just kind of sitting there, just like what just happened, dude? Like all this, like I never, when I was just like an innocent kid in high school, like making an application to the seminary, I had never thought that like my childhood like hero was gonna like betray me and like hurt people, and that I would have to deal with this heartbreak on my way to becoming a priest. And so I'm sitting there just like heavy heart, and I've always been devoted to the Eucharist. It's been a very important thing for me. I kind of talked about that earlier. Like I kind of heard my call in front of the Eucharist. And so I'm going up to communion, and I'm like, if there's anything that's going to make this day better, this is going to be this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up to the front and I go to receive on the tongue from the bishop, and the host, like, I don't know why, the host falls off my tongue onto the ground, and I'm just like, so I pick up the host and I eat it, and it's just kind of like the walk of shame back. And I'm just like, God, like, I just don't get it. Like, I love you and I'll do anything for you, but I just don't get it. Like, why? And I said, I'll do anything for you. I still love you, but I don't get it. And it was kind of like a prayer of like desperation, kind of like, God, please help me out. It wasn't like this like valiant, like, yes, God, I still believe in you, and light reaction. So, and as I'm saying this, like, God, I still love you, I hear it turned back immediately onto me. And like, there's moments where I like hear this voice and I just know that it's God. And I knew in that moment, I was like, this is the voice of Jesus. And it says, but I still love you. And I was like, really? And I hate to say it, but that was like, it was another one of these numb reactions. And so as Mass is ending, they hold up the processional cross, and it's this gold cross, and it's like, wow, it's like beaming. And I hear again, like, I still love you. And in this moment, like, I saw like my, like, this entire struggle with this whole situation, and like, through all of it, God's like, I loved you at the beginning, I still love you. And I was like, and like, I still love you is, I feel like, so much more powerful than I love you, because it's like, I've been there the whole way. Like, I've seen everything that you've been through. I've seen all the struggles. I've seen all the times that you've trusted. I've seen all the times that you've failed. I've seen all the times that you've been hurt. I've seen like every time you've messed up, and all the ways that it weighs on you, and I still love you. And I was just like, wow. And then I cried. And again, like, that didn't magically fix my life, but like, it was just like it was a new, like, another deepening. I find that God continues, like, the times when I grow the most in intimacy with God are like the most difficult struggles. And I feel like my call in life is to be with people in that way, and to like, be in solidarity with people who struggle, and to know that, like, God loves you, and like, he did it for me, he'll do it for you, and he'll do even greater things. And so a couple months later, May of 2022, this is the ordination now, and I don't know if you know Father Joe Menkhouse. He was being ordained, and so we had talked about this situation because he also knew the priest, and he was actually on his seminary internship at the time when this whole thing went down. And so I knew that this like weighed deeply on him as well, because he was very good friends with this priest. And so he was about to be ordained a priest now, Father Joe Monkhouse. And that was just like, I was like, wow, like, I have so much respect for that. Like, that's heroic. Like, that's amazing. Like the witness of like going through that struggle, like the coraggio, like, do what is right when it's hard. And so as I'm watching him, so I was serving that mass at the cathedral, and I was the mitre bearer, which is like the bishop's hat, and which is a cool job, but they give you the worst seat in the entire building because like you're behind everything. So like when everybody's being ordained, it's like I can't see anybody because they're like, I'm sitting behind the altar. So I'm like, oh, dang, man, this is sweet. Like, but so after like they lay on the marble and there's like the laying on of hands, and then after that there's the vesting, which is kind of like I feel like it's the you may now kiss the bride of like the ordination. It's like, I don't know if it's like that big of a deal. It's like you're just putting on the vestments, but it's like one of the most emotional and cool parts of the ordination. So they stand up, and I only see Father Joe Monkhouse, and he's standing there, and I see him put the vestment on, and it was like I don't even know how to describe it, but I was like, he did it. Somebody who knows my struggles, like they actually did it. Like they went through with it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, like these words came to me, and it was just like, in the name of Jesus Christ, I forgive the priest who hurt me. And it was just like, it came out of nowhere. It was like nothing that I was thinking about. And I feel like that was like one of the biggest moments that like God set me free from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautiful, and I cried again. And another beautiful thing about that is like, and if I never get to see any of the fruits of any of the things that I do, that doesn't matter, because like, I don't think I've told Father Joe this story, but his witness, like just him laying down his life in that way, like changed my life, like, and like helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's God. Like, I don't know if he like that was not Father Joe Mancaus's plan. That was God in that moment.
Yeah.
And again, like that's the stuff that gives me, that's the stuff that keeps me going. It's like, I know, like, we don't always know like why things happen or why things are difficult, but if you just like do what God is asking you, if you have that courage, like keep doing what is right even when it's hard, like it's gonna make sense and it's gonna pay off. You might not even know it, but like, oh, like that's what gets me, like that's what keeps me going, like transformation. Kendrick Lamar has a line on one of his songs where he says, as I set free your heart filled with hatred, keep our bodies sacred. As I set free you abusers, this is transformation. And it's like, wow, it's like a triumphant, like final part of this song. And it's like, that's what I'm all about. Like, I want to see broken hearts healed. Like, I want to see, I want to see healing. I want to see like wholeness. Like, I want to make what's old new. And you don't always get to see those moments, but if I can help do that for anybody, like, so be it. You know, that's what I'm all about. So that's a big part of my vocation story, is that entire struggle. And yeah, I don't know, like it's a beautiful thing when God calls you, and just say yes. It's hard, man. I know that it's hard, but just say yes. Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be tough to segue off of that one.
No, I think that's a good one to end it on. So
yeah,
I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. And
thank you guys so much for the
of
opportunity.
course.